how long can I use a respirator before it loses its effectiveness?
First, we need to take into consideration what kind of harmful substances the respirator should be protecting us from. This has an influence on the choice of the appropriate type of respirator and the time over which it is safe to use. There are two basic categories of harmful substances. Category 1 – solid particles and aerosols such as pollen, dust, smog, etc. These particles are larger than 2 micrometers. Category 2 – pathogens, i.e. viruses and bacteria, mold, yeasts, etc. These particles are 100 to 1,000 times smaller than solid particles. Ordinary respirators with a membrane from non-woven textile, for example melt-blown, are sufficient to capture solid particles and some larger pathogens. But their filtration efficiency starts to diminish due to the humidity in the human breath after just 30 minutes. If they are to be used repeatedly, it is necessary to dry them out properly. On the contrary, the efficiency of nanofiber respirators is not affected, even with humidity rising over time. Therefore, they are suitable for long-term and repeated use.
And what about the filtration of pathogens? Is it similar?
No, it is not. An ordinary respirator is not suitable for the filtration of pathogens, not only because of its low resistance to humidity, but also due to its design, which is not made to capture such small particles as viruses, for example. In this case, the best solution is a nanofiber respirator which mechanically captures pathogens thanks to its extremely dense membrane.
A nanofiber respirator works on both types of harmful substances and maintains its level of efficiency. Is it then suitable for long-term use?
There is one more problem. If a person uses a respirator for a long time, they need to be careful about cross-contamination. Let me explain. When manipulating a respirator, our fingers come into direct contact with its surface. The surface gets gradually fouled with viruses and bacteria from our hands, having touched contaminated doorknobs, handles, keyboards. According to expert studies, we touch our faces, in other words, our eyes, nose and mouth, up to 3,000 times a day. It is obvious then that the risk of getting infected by a used respirator should not be underestimated. Thus, the time in which a respirator can be used safely is not only tied to its efficiency, but also to the aspect of hygiene.
It seems like a complex issue. What is your recommendation regarding a safe time for the use of a respirator?
When rules of proper hygiene are followed, both ordinary and nanofiber respirators can be used for the filtration of solid particles several times. When it comes to protection against pathogens, an ordinary respirator offers protection only until it gets moist. At the same time, it is worth repeating that an ordinary respirator may not filter out minute pathogens, such as viruses, safely. In most cases, the time for which a standard nanofiber respirator provides protection against all pathogens is 1 day, or until the respirator has been manipulated for the first time.
You say in most cases, so is there an exception?
Yes, there is. Respilon offers self-sterilizing respirators, VK Respi Pro and VK Respi Raptor. They are FFP2 classified respirators enriched with accelerated copper, which prevents cross-contamination. Therefore, they can be used repeatedly for up to 1 week.